At this point in time, I will turn to Mr. Healy again. Have I got the order right? Andreas will ask the fourth question.
Mr. Loretti, there's been a lot of discussion in Connecticut about the implementation of the Common Core educational standards in our public schools. Do you support the tenets of Common Core? And if not, what educational standards would you recommend as an alternative?
Well, I would begin by saying that first and foremost, we need to get government out of the classroom. We need to empower superintendents of schools and principals and hold them accountable. That's what they're trained for. I don't believe that the Common Core will change anything in terms of results. Having spent some time in the classroom as a science teacher and basketball coach at Central High School in Bridgeport, I understand some of the complexities that society brings to education. And they're best dealt with when you interact and strengthen the teacher, student, and parent relationship. And that's the thing that we should be focusing on. The government has been regulating and mandating things, not only in education, but to all of us over many years. And quite frankly, what happens is the results are worse than what they started. So I think that the approach that we have to take as a government is to allow the professionals to do what they do best. When you saddle educators with forms and regulations and reporting periods, it's all time taken away from the classroom. Instruction time that is so important to the neediest of our students. And then if you look at some of the school systems around the state that are performing at a standard or above standard, why would you interfere with that? We've identified schools that are not performing. Let's get right to those schools and fix what needs to be fixed, instead of trying to restart a system that doesn't need to be restarted.
Thank you. Mr. Visconti.
Common Core is the Obamacare of education. I've been fighting it for about 8 months on the campaign trail. I helped organize the first statewide Common Core seminar. And I'd rather tell you what the parents, Tiger moms, think about Common Core rather than just my opinions of it. What they don't want is their children being forced to take weeks and weeks of testing for the Common Core test. This is something that in Trumbull, students in high school didn't show up for the test, which actually can lead to unfunding of the testing procedures. But the moms don't like the fact that the arts are being limited and that their children are forced to learn new education, education we weren't raised with, education the moms weren't raised with. It's a disconnect between the parents, the teachers, and the moms. And they want to go back to the way education was, where it's balanced education, similar to the Montessori, the Waldorf systems, where the child is treated like a human being rather than a robot to be tested on information that hasn't even been studied for. This Common Core testing does not replace your mastery test, your quizzes, and your normal test. Many people in the audience here may not know that. They think it's part of, we just take Common Core test, that's it. So there's a lot of stress and anxiety on the children. There's studies on this, and please get more informed about what it is if you have children or grandchildren, because there's a great movement against this.
Thank you. Ms. Dean.
Yeah, the Common Core just astounds me. The whole idea that we have to fix this excellent education system in Connecticut. If you take out the inner city schools out of the statistics, Connecticut schools rank and students rank among the very top in the world, not just the country. So we have some of the finest schools in the country and in the world here in Connecticut. And yet we lump them all together, and then we have kids take tests that they can't pass, that they're going to fail on, to show that our schools are failing. That's what this Common Core test is. The kids can't pass it, and that's why they're so frustrated and so full of anxiety. So we don't need to break our health care system to fix it, to pay to fix it. We don't need to break our school system to pay to fix it. This is not free. First, the federal government comes in with money, that's our money. Then, years down the road, then it kicks in where we have to pay for this at the local level. This state is going underwater so fast. People are bailing on it so quickly. Those statistics aren't in the newspaper each day, but talk with people. You know they're all leaving. And Governor Malloy is reelected. The sucking sound of people leaving the state is going to be so dramatic as just a few state workers and people who can't sell their homes in Connecticut are left behind. We are destroying our educational system. This is very, very serious. It needs to be reversed immediately. And as governor, I would support that. We need to be focusing on the schools that are failing and allowing kids in the inner city school choice so that they can get out of these failing schools.
Thank you very much. Mr. Boughton.
Well, we've had a top-down rush towards implementing Common Core here in the state of Connecticut, and it's really symptomatic of the way that this governor leads and how he perceives his job. Let's make no mistake, Governor Malloy wants to be your Board of Education chairman, your mayor, your first selectman, your police chief, your fire chief, your planning director, and he wants to sit on every planning and zoning commission of the 169 towns that are here in Connecticut. And the fact of the matter is that there is no one-size-fits-all in the way in which we teach kids. I taught high school for 14 years. I have a master's degree in educational psychology. And the bottom line here is that the more we try to take kids and force them through high-stakes testing and try to mold them into one mold, you all know out there as parents that every child is different. We need an educational system that will actually tap into all of the aptitude, all the attributes that that child has and help them grow and develop to be good adults in our society. We're not building widgets, people. We're building people. And that means we have to understand that our teachers are our best practitioners. We need to talk to our parents. We need to engage in our Board of Education. We need to meet with our administrators. That's what those folks get paid to do. If we don't listen to them, if we don't ask them their opinion, then we might as well just let the governor run every school district and every classroom in Connecticut. And finally, let me just say this. We ought to decouple the results from the Common Core away from the evaluations of our teachers. There is tons of learning that goes on in a classroom that cannot be measured by high-stakes testing. And I think that we're on the wrong path. And this is one of the biggest unfunded mandates we've seen in a long time.
Thank you. Mr. McKinney.
Look, as a general matter, my philosophy is one-size-fits-all top-down programs don't work. It didn't work with No Child Left Behind, and it's not working with Common Core. Education decisions, perhaps more so than any others, are best made when they're made at the local level by parents, teachers, students, and administrators. And that's what this governor has forgotten. They've foisted Common Core on the people of Connecticut by an unelected body without a vote of the legislature. And that is wrong. That's why I was proud to be one of the many Republicans in the legislature to force the Democrats to have a public on Common Core. And because of our pressure, we will force the governor to decouple teacher evaluations with the SPAC test scores. I'm probably the only candidate who has a child who's taken the SPAC test. The youngest of my 3 teenagers is in 8th grade, and I can tell you that she didn't learn anything or gain anything from taking that test. And the teachers who are taking time out of their productive day to teach kids just how to type so they can take this test will tell you they're wasting their time. Look, we need to leave high-performing schools alone. We need to focus on fixing the failing schools because that's outrageous that too many of our kids are in failing schools in the state of Connecticut. And we need a governor and an education commissioner who will listen to parents, who will listen to students, and listen to teachers. This governor's not doing it. The commissioner's not doing it. I'm proud to have called for his resignation. And I can tell you the first day I'm governor, Commissioner Pryor is gone, and I'll get a public school teacher in that job.
Thank you. Mr. Foley.
The premise and promise of America include fairness and opportunity. And it really bothers me that there are so many kids, some 100,000 kids, possibly as many as 120,000 kids in Connecticut, who are not getting a decent education. And if you don't give them a decent education, it's not fair, and they won't have the opportunity that America promises. So we have a critical problem in Connecticut. We've got the largest achievement gap of any state in the country. So I support education reform, but we have some of the best schools in the country as well, and so you don't need to implement a statewide mandated program on schools where local control is doing the job well. So I support local control. There's no reason for the state government to get involved in schools where they're performing well. However, you do need standards to be able to test, ascertain how well a school is doing so parents can make choices. And I support choice, and I support money follows the child, and I only think there's an appropriate role for the governor and the state government to come in when schools are underperforming and when school districts are underperforming. Whatever solution is found for those schools needs to include teachers. You simply cannot run an effective school and educate young people without teachers who feel they have a stake in the system and a say in the system and how it's done.
Thank you.